So welcome to week 48. This is week 48 of our 52-week review on Face Off. This is
We're so close to that finish line, I can taste it.
shut.
You should maybe
Taste
just
it.
call it now. I think.
Oh, if only we were that much of
We are
a
talking
of a
about
loser, Tyler.
costumes. We are talking about a very special person. The uniforms, the clothing. You know what? If no one was wearing clothing, this movie would be a completely different movie. I can guarantee. So
It
whether
would-
it's the
it would have a
prison
very
uniforms,
different
That's
rating.
a very astute observation.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd
whether
be
it's the
played in very
prison
different
uniforms,
theaters.
whether it is the medical uniforms, whether it is the police uniforms.
Yeah, those medical uniforms, mwah, just perfect. Perfect.
Well,
Costuming.
it's a future movie, so you have
Perfect
to
wardrobe.
suspend your disbelief.
Mm.
Lots of priests. The continue.
Well, bookends.
lots of
Bookend of the
costumes.
films. Bookend of the films.
Just
Beginning
about
and end.
every public service is being represented in Face Off 1997. And so,
And you
who
think
is it,
that that's
John,
good, eh?
who do we congratulate? Who do we congratulate for this amazing feat in costumery?
Her name is Ellen Morozonik, I believe. Ellen Morozonik. I didn't look up the last name pronunciation,
So
unfortunately.
I am happy that you brought her up because it reminds me that we do have a Russian sponsor. And
What?
Rajmik is, I believe, a Russian name. And so
Wow, she was born in New York, from what her bio says here, but I don't know anything about her actual background.
That's a Russian. That's a hacker. That's
What?
a hacker. No, she was not born in New York. She is not an American. She is Russian. And so here on Take Two Plus, we like to expose the hacker frauds. And this is 2022 hacker frauds alert squad.
What is
So
happening?
thank you for watching. And huge shout out to Vlad's Poutine. Whenever I am hungry, I go to only one place, and that's Vlad's Poutine. Apparently, there are problems, but I'm still going to go.
What are you talking about? Vlad's Poutines and Russia and spies? Like, what
Vlad's
are you getting?
Poutine. Mm-mm-mm.
That's a new sponsor that we have now.
Yeah.
How much
Why
are they
do
paying
we-
us to spy? Why are we not just hearing about this now?
Did
Are
you
we just
know
making
that
money
just
from this?
by mentioning Vlad's Poutine just one time, we are receiving 400 rubies. I don't know
400
how
rubies.
Why
much
are we getting
rubies
paid in
are
rubies?
worth, but I imagine quite a
First
bit.
of all, I don't think rubies are a thing. It's rubles. It's the Russian, if that's what you're trying to say.
Rubles?
Oh, that makes
rubles.
sense. That makes sense.
That-
I was
that's not
wondering.
a
I
lot
thought
of
they were
money,
talking
really.
Egyptian, so I thought it was Egyptian. So I highlighted it, plugged it into Google Translate, got the offer for 400 rubies.
Chris,
Russian.
after you plug that
Bel-
into Google Translate, tell me something. Did you
Okay,
then plug
so-
in how much 400 rubles is worth into Google itself? Because if you did,
Huge
I'll tell you what
shout-out.
it says. It says $4.99.
Yes, well, in Russia, that's a lot of money. So, huge shout out to a couple things. First of all, Russia. Second of all, Vlad Putin's, as well as Red Heat. This is a part of what I hope is 52 weeks of
No.
Red Heat.
We're not doing 52 weeks. Of
Red Heat, like that Schwarzenegger
We are,
movie?
well,
How many
Vlad's
people do you
Poutine
think?
is sponsoring 52 weeks of Red Heat. And now this is, of
My
course,
God.
the East meets West story, kind
Wait.
of the topsy-turvy story
A
of
poutine joint is sponsoring us
kind of like the
doing
Odd Couple.
52 weeks
No
of
sense.
Red Heat.
52 weeks of Red Heat, yeah.
And it's a
And
poutine
we're getting
joint.
and they're paying us in rubies, which is nice.
Also
Avoid
wrong.
all that digital
also not
currency
nice.
bullshit. All the bit chains and
We're gonna have to look into this. You know what, Chris? Just
All
send
right.
me
Well,
send me any
look into it then. I don't-
paperwork they forwarded you. Just send it to me right now while we're recording, and I'll look into it a little bit, and we'll get to the
That's
bottom of
probably
this.
That's amazing,
Russian,
Sean.
maybe
Thank
it's
you for
Western.
that. And thank you, Russia, for supplying us with this week's amount. I bought a sandwich today, as a matter of fact, with those 400 rupees, and it was corned beef. So this week
So
we
we
are
get
talking
nothing, Sean.
about the costumes. And
You
Sean,
say you already spent the money.
He didn't even spend it on Putin.
well, Anyways, so this week we are talking about poutine. And my favorite poutine is probably the lobster poutine. And that has little
Fucking
bits of
sicko.
lobster in it. And I like just a little gravy on the lobster. I dip it into the nacho cheese sauce.
That sounds
And that,
disgusting.
You're such a fucking old
I
guy.
also thought we were talking about the costumes, not about our favorite poutine.
Dude, what the fuck are we talking about, Chris? Seriously. Where
I
did
don't
this
know.
episode go off the rails? Like,
Well,
What's the
no,
lady's
we were
name?
talking about lobster, and now we're talking about. What are we still talking about?
Poutine.
Red Lobster,
poutine lobster. For what reason?
poutine and lobsters. Okay, I like poutine and lobster because, first of all, it's different, which is nice. Also, potatoes come from the ground, and lobsters come from the sea. So you have this like underground, underwater.
He has that right. I'm actually surprised.
We're somehow veering into like crab people being responsible for this entire podcast.
Now, I am reminded that there is the topic of underground people has been brought up in the past, and I
Oh,
just
God,
want
we
to
should
remind
never
our
mention
underground.
that.
I want to remind our underground listeners that we are with
That's
you.
not what underground listeners mean. That's not. It
So-
doesn't. We've tried to tell you this so many
Also-
times. That doesn't mean what you think it means.
We also barely have listeners, let alone underground listeners.
Underground listeners are sometimes the most important listeners, and that's because their hearts are so big. And so, a big shout out to Red Heat and Russia and our underground listeners in Ukraine. This week, we are listening and watching and referring to the costumes. Sean, I'm going to leave the next 45 minutes up to you.
Take it away. Sean's Corner.
I have a lot of drinking to do.
Son of a bitch. God damn.